Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another week of your Picture Trail Nation report. This time we sit down with Kevin McPherson with your Hog Hoops report. And Kevin, first, it's Mother's Day. We're gonna say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. We appreciate everything you guys do, from the cooking to giving us advice to everything. Happy Mother's Day to you, and I hope you enjoy your day. And we hope you enjoy this show. If you are watching, we appreciate it. Kevin, let's hop straight into the thick of things, man. We got Ricky Council, who was in town in Fayetteville on the Hill visiting University of Arkansas. He's from Wichita State in the portal right now. How did that tour go here in Fayetteville?
Everything I'm told, it was a great visit. Ricky told me he'd be coming in on Thursday, which he did. So it was kind of partial weekend visit. He wrapped things up on Saturday. Everything I'm told, he loved the campus. He loves the Arkansas atmosphere. He actually announced a final six schools before he made the trip. And, I'm told, I've got sources telling me it's Arkansas or Kansas. I actually like Arkansas's chances here unless something changes. But here's a young man that's been in the portal since April 21st. We know Arkansas coaches, Eric Musman included, get on that phone right out of the gates when they see those names hit the portal. They reached out to him. I've got source confirmation that Arkansas met off campus with Ricky Council the fourth, preceding him planning an official visit, which we just talked about happened through Saturday. So this is a situation I think we're going to learn details about as far as a decision fairly soon. If it's down to Arkansas and Kansas, let's see if he takes other visits. But he hasn't to this point outside of Arkansas or announced that. And I think we could hear something in a matter of hours or days on this. Remember now, let's talk about Ricky Council and then talk about the scholarship numbers because we need to go through that. But with Ricky, a 6'6" wing, 2 seasons at Wichita State because of the COVID pandemic do-over that the NCAA granted. He basically had 2 freshman seasons. So he'll be a third-year sophomore with 3 years of immediate eligibility wherever he transfers to. Wow. And a guy that's super athletic, averaged 12 points a game, over 5 rebounds, was the 6th man of the year at Wichita State last year. As a true freshman, the year before, he was an all American Athletic Conference freshman team. So here's a guy that's gotten all league recognition 2 years in a row, and a guy that wants to work on defense. He's a guy that has been a little bit better offensively than defensively. But when you look at his size at 6'6", the athleticism, he's a guy I think that projects to be a plus defender with a chance to maybe be an elite defender. And you see the work Eric Musman's done with portal transfers and guys that maybe didn't come in as good defensively as they left, like an Adese Toney, who I think Council's kind of been targeted for to replace, who ended up leaving Arkansas with a chance to come back. We know that just a few weeks ago announced that he was turning pro. So I think Arkansas would like to add this player. When we talk about scholarship numbers, technically there isn't room with Jaylen Williams in the draft. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. He's got till June 1st to withdraw. But while he's in the draft, Arkansas is not counting him in the scholarship numbers, which right now, when you look at what they pulled out of the portal a few weeks ago, 4 big men, 6'9" or taller, they're right at the number they need to be at, 13 scholarships. If Jay Will comes back, that means they're at 14 and 1 over. If they add Ricky Council, they're definitely going over, even if Jaylen Williams doesn't come back by 1. If he does come back, it gets confusing, a little convoluted. They're over 2. So something's going to have to give there. Arkansas has obviously only got, as far as we know now, when not counting Jaylen Williams, 3 returning players from last year's team: Devo Davis, Kamani Johnson, and Jackson Robinson. They've also got a 6-player high school class that everybody knows is highly rated, 2nd in the nation, number 2 in the nation when you look at recruiting rankings. And those players, by the way, will be arriving on campus here at the end of the month. So you've got a lot of busyness going on right now, and it gets busier as the math will have to work itself out if Arkansas adds another player out of the portal, or, again, if Jaylen Williams comes back.
It's summertime, but the coaches, they're still working out there, getting those recruits, getting those guys coming in to Fayetteville and having those guys pick you, even though the top 6. That's big for the Razorbacks. Now, talk about, I heard you had some stuff through the grapevine, the summer foreign tour for the Hogs. Is this true?
Yeah, Arkansas is planning to take one of those exhibition tours. The last time they did that was under Mike Anderson, right before the 2016-17 season, when they played 4 games in Spain, started out in Madrid. But these Razorbacks, if you think about it, it's really interesting, CJ, because I'm going to talk about that and then what's coming up in the regular season. But plans are in place right now that Arkansas is going to play a summer exhibition tour. Several games have already been scheduled. I think they'd like to get a few more and get up to 7 games. But this is a tour that I'm told will be a 10-day tour that begins in early August. This will go through the countries of Spain and Italy, so back to Europe. And, when you look at Arkansas's potential to play up to 7 games there, of course, their exhibition, they don't count. But we just talked about replacing basically a whole roster, not many players coming back, and you've got a lot of newcomers. And so, even though it's a highly rated class, when you look at high school and portal, um, you're talking about having to get guys bonding and get chemistry on the
Right.
floor. And so Musselman likes to do that when they get everybody on campus and they can start going through some basic stuff in limited hours in June. But to be able to get extra practice time and playing time, playing against other teams and getting away from your comfort zone, getting away from home, it's a great chance for players to bond and build chemistry on and off the court. Now, Arkansas, I'm told from several sources, not only has a few games scheduled already, but they've also been getting player passports in line. And so that's something that's been going on for a while now.
Huh?
I think the only thing when you're looking at foreign travel, especially in the era of COVID, obviously things, all bets can be off if there's a spike or issues with travel. So even though this is planned, and the university has not made a formal announcement about this, haven't acknowledged it. So when I reached out to the University of Arkansas, I was told nothing is set. But at the same time, this is going down. If there's not some force of nature or something with health or something like that, or travel due to COVID shutting it down. And so I think Hog fans should look at that. Now, Arkansas is also going to play in the 2022 Maui Invitational in Hawaii in November.
I love that
Those
invitation.
it's 3 guaranteed games. It's a stout field. When you look at teams like Arizona, Ohio State, and some other ones, Creighton, this is going to be a really strong field that Arkansas is competing in Maui. But that's outside the continental United States. So you get 3 games guaranteed there in November. If Arkansas can schedule up to 7 out of the country in the summer, there's a potential this team could play 10 games outside the continental USA, even though some of those are just exhibition, before Thanksgiving holiday. So again, when you're talking about building a young team, these are the kind of opportunities that prepare you not only for a tough SEC schedule, but also later on. And we know Arkansas, even when it hits some snags and has some bumps and bruises by mid-January, that ship not only gets pointed in the right direction, but there are very few problems for a team that in back-to-back seasons turned around some bad spots to get to Elite Eights and finish ranked in the national top 10. But I think it's very interesting when you look at Arkansas' schedule now with what I just talked about, all those opportunities for a team that's loaded with talent, but so many newcomers, CJ.
It's a lot of national spotlights. Well, I love the foreign tour, going to different countries, and that's the time when you bond. You talk about the Michael Jordans when they even in the NBA. I mean, they bonded in those times when they were in those camps and everything across overseas, where people still know their names, but still getting their name out there, and bonding is the big thing when you're going on those foreign tours. Maui Invitational. That's one of my favorite invitationals, Kevin. I'm gonna have to talk to Next Star, see if we can get some tickets out there to go to Maui, because that's one of my favorites. Always some of the top teams playing national spotlight for the Razorbacks. It's going to be even brighter, but it's going to be even better because they got a lot of people coming in from transfers to new guys, freshmen. Gives those ties guys to bond in Maui, overseas, and back home. So it's a lot of things that can happen. Now, you talked about Jaylen Williams earlier, the NBA draft and him coming out before June 1st. But talk about the NBA draft updates and JD Note. I heard he had some big news this weekend, and Jaylen Williams. You have any updates between those two guys?
Well, just that we know that Jaylen Williams was invited to the draft combine, which happens May 16th through the 22nd. Now, he's been training in Miami for weeks. And the more that I've really kind of pieced together what's going
Miami.
on here, I'm leaning more and more that he might stay in the draft, as far as my opinion, formulated over, talking with the different folks involved with it.
Okay.
That's not to say when he gets his full feedback with the combine, working out individually with teams, that he won't come back to Arkansas. But I think it just seems to me as this progresses, and when I look at some of the mock drafts and projections, you can't buy into those all that much. But when you cobble together stuff that you're getting from sources that are involved with NBA teams and the players themselves behind the scenes, you kind of cobble that together to get a picture of what could happen, and maybe leaning that way, but things can change. So Jaylen Williams is going through that process. JD Note, we just learned, has been invited to the NBA G League Elite Camp. This is also an annual event, also in Chicago. It runs the first 2 days simultaneously with the combine. And so there's 40 or so players invited to the G League Elite Camp. They're the players that are just on the fringes or outside of draft projections, whereas the combine invites, like Jaylen Williams, are the ones who are kind of projected to get drafted somewhere, the 60 to 70 players worth. So you add those 40 from the G League Elite Camp. Those guys are going to compete in 5-on-5 competitions in front of GM, scouts, other decision makers in both the NBA and G League. And then just less than a handful every year get invited once that part is over to actually join into the combine and get further exposure and auditioning. And so, I mean, I think one year only 2 or 3 players were brought over to the combine from the camp, but that gives Note a chance. The other thing for Note, I think, is very interesting. Whether or not he gets invited to the combine based on his elite camp performances, he's probably going to have a shot as being one of these 40 players invited to this, not only to make it a summer league roster for the NBA where he'll get more exposure and chance to earn maybe a 2-way contract, but he's also probably got a really good shot at making a G League roster, even if he can't get a 2-way deal with the NBA or make an NBA team. Obviously, he wants to get drafted, but if he goes undrafted, there are opportunities there. And this elite camp helps profile him and raise his profile to have those opportunities. And look, those are the paths. If you look at Mason Jones, even Daryl Macon a few years ago, former Hogs that were able to, maneuver once they got summer league opportunities. And I think JD Notae's positioned himself well with this invite to raise his profile. We'll see what happens from there, CJ. But both of those guys now are living out their dreams and trying to make it to the NBA.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kevin, I'm looking forward to see JD Notae play. I mean, the second SEC leading scorer last year, and we just had Jimmy Witt in here the other day. He's in the NBA G League. He was just talking about his experience and everything that he had experienced. Now he's in the TBT tournament for Arkansas. He's a former Razorback. So all of those things tied together. I wish the best of luck to JD Notae and Jaylen Williams. Either way it goes, either way he comes back or stays in the NBA draft. Kevin, I appreciate you stopping by again, man, this week. It's been a pleasure, man, even though it's Mother's Day.
And don't forget, we got Pro Hogs out there too, my friend.
We do got Pro Hogs. Let's hop into Pro Hogs first before we get off this. Pro Hogs in there. We know we got Bobby Portis, who has been special for the Milwaukee Bucks, hitting some big-time threes. But we also got a couple more Pro Hogs. Talk about those Pro Hogs from the University of Arkansas.
And you got to love Bobby Portis, right? Defending NBA champion, kind of an unsung hero on that Milwaukee Bucks team. The city loves him. They've adopted him as maybe their favorite son. It's hard to believe that with Giannis Antetokounmpo, who may be the best player in the world the last 4 years, but Bobby's right up there in popularity. But look, Bobby has averaged a double-double in these playoffs, helped the Bucks to a 4-1 series win in the first round as they advanced and got to the second round now against the 2-seed Boston. So Milwaukee comes into this without home court advantage, but they stole game 1, lost game 2 yesterday, a tight battle to the end, won at the buzzer. Bobby Portis in this series is also putting up good numbers, over 13 points, 9 rebounds a game. So throughout 8 games in the playoffs, he has 5 double-doubles and averaging a double-double. So this guy means a lot to Milwaukee's chances to repeat as NBA champions. We know this is an organization that it took them 50 years to get their second NBA title in franchise history. Now they got a chance to repeat that. Boston won't be easy, though. Obviously, Milwaukee has stolen home court advantage. Game 4 is coming up. Milwaukee needs to win that to keep home court advantage. And the other 2 Hogs, Moses Moody last night, hit a big 3, had a dunk. Yeah, the game was a little out of hand, but still he's getting playoff minutes, CJ, and getting production. But he was +4 in the box and after only 4 minutes, and Golden State beat the 2 seed. It's Memphis, the higher seeded team at home, to go up 2-1 in that series. And so Golden State also now has home court advantage. And then Isaiah Joe today, Philadelphia 76ers are playing, they're up against a higher seeded team as they get into game 4 of their series, down 2-1. And, the Sixers, Isaiah Joe's in a similar role as to Moses Moody, getting spot duty 2 years in a row. He's a big part of it. But guys like Moody and Joe, I like to look at this because even though they're watching from the bench, it can only help them grow as players. And all these guys get extra income by playing in the playoffs. They get paid a little more for their time, doing the work, doing the job, playing in the playoffs. And that includes everybody on that team.
You jumped out for a minute there, but glad we got you back in there. But talk about that Moses Moody dunk. You didn't get in depth, and my goodness, I seen the highlights last night, and I didn't know he had ups like that. My goodness, at the end of the game, it was against, my hometown team, the Memphis Grizzlies, but that dunk was thunderous. The 76ers got a battle tonight against a big-time team over there in Miami. It's going to be a battle, and I expect Bobby Portis to get past these Celtics, even though they don't have Chris Middleton. That's going to be a battle as well. All right, Kevin, now it's officially time. We appreciate you stopping by on Mother's Day. taking out your time to talk with us and give us an update on the Hog Hoops report, Kevin.
Always good to be with Pig Trail Nation, CJ. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Have a great rest of your day, man. And thank you. We'll see you guys next time on the Pig Trail Show.